Oh, nice. It's giving you a heads
Yeah.
up.
Setting it up.
It's like we're live. Hi.
Yay, it's working. Okay, I'm gonna not look at that one. Okay, so hey everyone. All right, so really quickly, as we're getting started, I just realized I cannot watch Facebook and Zoom at the same time. So hopefully we'll be able to answer questions. If not, then we'll answer questions separately. Thank you, everyone. Hello, it's the Lactation Support Peer Counseling Team at Open Arms. We are here to talk about pregnancy and colostrum. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet because our goal with these little mini-sodes is to bring, we're going to eventually build a whole catalog full of little bite-sized lessons about the lactation journey. And our goal in this is to make all this information about your body and your baby and your lactation journey really, really accessible. So we're going to keep each of these pretty quick and just dive into the information that really, really matters. So we're super happy to be here. We're really looking forward to starting these series, and we hope that everyone will follow along and learn lots of new stuff. So I'm Elizabeth, and we have Siobhan and Mary, and we're the Open Arms Lactation Support Peer Counseling Team. And today we're going to talk about how the lactation journey starts before you even ever meet your baby, which is pretty amazing. So depending where you're at in your pregnancy, you may have noticed a couple things happening. And number one being, especially if you are already nursing another baby, this is the one that comes up first, is between 16 and 18 weeks. You may notice that the milk that was feeding your older baby starts to dry up because your body is switching into the gear to prepare for your new baby. So you're going to see your milk turn into colostrum, and colostrum is milk. It is more concentrated and it is a smaller volume. So if you are nursing an older baby or a toddler or preschooler, they may tell you about the changes that are happening in it. Often they'll say that it tastes salty, or that it is, they may not like it, or you may see it go away completely and not respond to the baby because your body is now prepared to go through the whole process that's going to ramp up for the next 25 weeks or so. And then as you get a little further into the pregnancy, you may see that your chest or breast tissue starts to swell and get larger. We'll see changes in size and shape. That is one of the first ways you can tell yourself, I see what my body is doing. It's getting ready to make this milk. And that will continue throughout the pregnancy. Usually, and you may have even noticed some tenderness. That's often people's first sign of pregnancy is breast tenderness. And then that will continue with size changes through the pregnancy. And then as you're getting closer to the end, you may even start to see increased blue veining on your chest. And that blue veining is telling us that you're getting increased blood volume being sent to that tissue to help all of the new work that's being done in there. You are establishing new pathways for your milk ducts, and everything is getting ramped up and ready to go. And so then as you come into your third trimester, really starting at about 34 weeks, your body is getting ready to make a full milk supply for your baby. So babies born between 34 and 37 weeks, if you have a premature baby, that 34 to 37 week mark is when you may need some additional help. Your baby will probably have somewhere from a weak suck reflex to potentially a fully developed suck reflex. But it's totally normal that you may have some extra challenges in that time period. And then babies born between 37 and 42 weeks, your body is completely ready to make a full milk supply at that time. So the process started way back at the beginning, and everything is changing. And then when you are in that third trimester, you may see leaking starting to happen. And that is another totally normal part of pregnancy development of the lactation journey. And it's also totally normal for it not to happen. So I always let folks know, if it happens, it's great. Your body is an eager beaver, ready to go. And if you don't see it, it means absolutely nothing. It just means that your body decided not to leak, but the colostrum is still there. So that is the very turbo speed version of what's happening through pregnancy. Mary, would you like to tell us a little bit more about what colostrum even is?
Yeah, so like you said earlier, colostrum is milk, and it's just a powerhouse of nutrient dense milk that your body makes. And it's really the first line of defense for this new baby that has come out into the world, preparing them for the world. So it's often yellow in color, and it's a lot thicker than the milk that you normally think of when you think of breast milk. And so your body starts producing it around 12 to 18 weeks of pregnancy. So that might be some of the things that you see leaking, if you do leak. And then we'll get into that later. So colostrum, it's just a powerhouse of food. So it helps with the brain, gut, and liver development. It is packed with white blood cells, so it protects against infection. It coats the baby's gut. So, and really like preparing it, like good gut health is essential for health, whether it's at any stage of being a human person alive today. We are live. And so anyway, so it coats the gut, and it has a laxative effect also, which helps move the meconium, or the baby's first poop, out of their system. It also clears out bilirubin, which is really good for preventing jaundice. And it has chock full of vitamins A, C, and D, has some good carbs and fats to help with cognitive and brain development. And it has a probiotic effect, so that if you're familiar with probiotics, or I'm sorry, it has a prebiotic effect. So it really contributes to having good gut, good bacteria in the gut, and that produces all sorts of things that helps with brain and growth and cognitive development. Let's see, am I missing anything else? So yeah, it's really something that prepares your baby for being out in the world. And it's also the best first food that your baby can have. And luckily there's ways to express it beforehand if you're able to help prepare for baby. And Siobhan is going to take us into that part.
Really quick,
yeah.
Before we move to Siobhan, I was just going to talk really quickly about when and how you know if expressing that colostrum during pregnancy is okay.
Oh.
So this is a really, really common question that I hear from pregnant people for a couple of reasons. So number one, oftentimes if it's already leaking, folks are like, what is this? And what can I do with it? Should I do anything with it? And in general, the great news is, well, first of all, just the leaking of it is not going to harm you. That's just your body doing its thing. So do not worry if it is leaking. That is totally fine, and a really just a sign that your body is working and doing its job. And if you choose and you want to express it, that can be a way to get ready for baby. And there are a couple contraindications, which means that there's a couple situations in which you would not want to hand express in pregnancy. So if you are dealing with any sort of complications or challenges that make premature delivery a risk for you. So if you've had, any signs of early labor, preterm, a history of preterm birth or anything, right away, we do not want to start messing with that. So because anytime that we are having breast stimulation, nipple stimulation on there, that can trigger some uterine contractions. And in general, this is totally fine. Our uterus is contracting, you know, all throughout the day. It's practicing. You may have Braxton Hicks. You may drink red raspberry leaf tea and have some little practice contractions. So in general, that's fine. But you always want to talk with your medical provider and make sure that you don't have any risk factors that could put you into a category where that could be dangerous to have any additional contractions. So if you're on pelvic rest or anything like that, of course, that's going to be a hard no. And in general, we would want you to talk with your medical provider, your doctor or midwife, just to make sure that it is safe for you. There are some situations in which it's highly recommended that you stock your colostrum away. So if you are experiencing gestational diabetes, or if there's concern that your baby may be born with blood sugar problems, or if you're concerned about your supply due to previous history with low supply, things like that, this is a way that you can be proactive and start stocking away some colostrum. So if you have a baby who's at risk for needing to be supplemented immediately after birth for blood sugar reasons, if you have your own colostrum available, you can offer that. And that's a great option for offering supplementation right after baby is born. And then also, if you have, like I said, if you had a history with a previous baby and you're feeling uncomfortable, like, hey, I want to do something proactive so that I am ready, it's something that you can do so you know you have that peace of mind. So it can be an option rather than, you know, I hear a lot of times folks want to have formula in the house just in case. What if you had your own milk in the house just in case? That's pretty cool. And most babies don't need to be supplemented. We expect baby to be eating just colostrum for the first couple days. In general, we're looking for the milk to transition and become more fluid and copious in quantity within 24 to 72 hours. So in general, it's not something that most people have to worry about, but if it brings you peace of mind, that's great. And there is some evidence that shows us that people who do express prenatally have a more abundant milk supply once baby gets here. So if there's those factors at play, these are things that may be helpful for you. Now we're gonna shoot it over to Siobhan, who's going to talk to us about how the heck you get that colostrum out of there, especially if it's not leaking freely. Keeping in mind that, like Mary said, this is thick, sticky stuff. So don't expect to just have faucets wide open. We're talking drops.
Yes, especially as you begin the expression and journey, right? As you have more frequent stimulation and you have practiced expression and it becomes a little bit more, you become more comfortable with it. You may find that you are able to express a little bit more than the few drops that you start off with. I've got my little model here. I want to show you how to express, how to hand express. And you can use this to collect your colostrum prenatally. You can also use this after baby's born to collect your second milk or just along your lactation journey. Sometimes it's nice not to carry your pump with you if you're out and about, and being able to hand express is it's just a great tool to have in your bag. So something that I really like to emphasize is we want you to be comfortable when you start off your hand expression, right? So being in a warm place. A lot of folks like to try expressing after a shower or bath. Usually we're pretty relaxed after that. And so just being comfortable is, and having clean hands is the best way to start. And then you'll want to massage your breast or chest tissue, right? So I personally think, using your hand. Some folks like to use other tools, but we always have our hands with us. And so if you can get comfortable with using your hand to, massage the tissue, I think that's a great way to start. So you want to do that for a few minutes, and you'll want to massage both sides. And then when you're ready to start expressing, you make a C with your hand, and then you'll gently cup the areola, which is the darkened area surrounding the nipple. You will want to gently, compress it towards your chest wall. And then really you're just compressing down on the areola. We don't need to squeeze, we don't need to pull, we don't need to roll it, which is, full disclosure, how I was taught, roll forward. That's not necessary. Really, it's just the compression of the areola. And you'll want to do that for about 3 to 5 minutes, and up to 3 times a day. And so you may be wondering, what do I do with the colostrum that's coming out? The best practice is to collect it in a clean container. So you can use a clean cup or bowl. Bowl might be a little big. You can also use these little, this is from Medela. It's just a collection bottle, comes with a lid. These can be stored in the freezer. There's an area on this one for you to label it with the date of when you expressed. If you choose to express it into a cup and you want to collect it into a syringe and store it, remembering that it's going to be tiny amounts, right? Baby's first meal is usually about a teaspoon, right? Babies have very tiny tummies when they're born. And so storing it into a syringe, popping them into a bag, labeling the sealed bag with the date, and putting it in the coldest part of your freezer, which is usually the center and back of the freezer, is a great way to store it. Trying to think if there's anything else that I missed.
No, I just wanted to point out that little syringe, that's such an excellent representation of the size. So the prenatal hand expression, now, of course, there's outliers. Of course, there's definitely folks who are, have more volume, but stocking away 5 mils at a time, that's super. And that is absolutely enough to be, if you have a kiddo who was having blood sugar problems, that's enough that could provide a little bump for them if they needed it. So don't disregard if you're seeing like 5 mils. That's fantastic.
And this is 1 mil. So
that's 1 mil. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
I mean, that's even right.
Mm-hmm.
So that, even less amounts.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to point out that big cylinder one, that when I'm looking at that for colostrum, I'm like, that's huge. So don't have any expectations.
So this is, I could open. This is a 6 mil.
Oh, perfect.
Just to show the difference if folks are interested. I've got all these little. So this is a 6 mil and this is a 1. Yeah.
And those are great, great, great amounts. And even if you are not making any of this, if you're not able to express it prenatally, that is okay. Please do not take any prenatal expression as an indication of what your supply will actually be. It's simply, this is like bonus time. If it works, that's fantastic. If not, also fantastic. And like Siobhan was saying about having hands on your chest tissue I love it. I love seeing people become familiar with their own anatomy while lactating, while, beforehand. It can be really helpful because then you're able to know what feels normal for your tissue. And you're having that journey, you're having that familiarity with your own body. And that's super important. So I think that's it. That's our mini-sode all about prenatal colostrum. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, moving further along this journey. So thank you all for joining us. We'll see you later.
See you soon.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. How do I stop being live?